In all seriousness, I received the news of my nomination via an email, and I opened it up and I read it, and candidly, I just started weeping. It was all at once, humbling and validating and life-affirming. And I suspect, like most who have been bestowed this honor, your many emotions overwhelm you, and then you start asking, what did I do? Why me? I'm not famous. I've never ventured out into the world and made my mark on an entire industry or profession as some of our distinguished alumni have. Now, I recognize that as an alumni, I do hold a very important position in our community. Every day I have the good fortune to work at a job that I love. It allows me to see the full spectrum of human behavior. I see people at their best, I see them at their worst, unfortunately. But fortunately, the majority of what I do every day does not involve horrible crimes or wrongs. I'm a judge in the Muni Court. Felonies are not my trade. For the most part, I see ordinary persons. I see everyday citizens at my job. And I love the fact that I can see any one of you, your child, your grandchild, your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt, at a time in their life when they may be in crisis. And I truly enjoy being able to think my way through as to what the problem is, what's the source of that problem, and identify what the resources are that are available to try to attempt to solve that problem, and then to define a plan, and then make people accountable to that plan. I don't mean to imply or communicate that I believe in any way that people should be given a free pass. What I'm suggesting is that some people, when they lose the way, require structure. They require someone to show them that here's the path. This is the path. Let me help you get back on that path. I truly enjoy the process of restoring that which has been broken, and I attempt to do it every day in a firm, fair, respectful fashion. And that's when I got to the point where the meaning came. It was in the halls of St. John where I learned what I would call grace. Ironically, I learned it because of a mistake that I and a few of my classmates and friends made during our senior year of high school. Now, without providing any details, because I am in an election year, we screwed up and placed ourselves in a position where we could have been fairly and rightfully cited in juvenile court. That is the court that I'm now aspiring to. I'm just admiring here. It took Father Tobin and Mr. Pasella a very short time to find out what had happened and who was responsible, and each of us, one by one, were called into the office where a conversation took place. Several hypothetical resolutions to this problem were posited by Father Tobin and Mr. Pasella, and each of us were allowed to go home and think upon these identified possible options as to solutions. And I'm happy to tell you that when we all conferred, we agreed upon the path that needed to be taken, and we fixed the problem, and it was never again discussed by any of us, nor was it discussed by staff or Father Tobin or Mr. Pasella. I call it grace because it's informed me in terms of one of my most abiding judicial philosophies. In order for any abiding change to occur, the intrinsic value of people must be recognized and preserved. And this value can be irreparably damaged by a knee-jerk response that someone may make to a poor decision of another. In my case, it was addressed by two individuals, one clergy, one layperson, who recognized the intrinsic value of the individuals involved, and they had every right to cite us in juvenile court. Instead, they applied their insight, they applied their intuition in extending grace. What they did is what I try to do every day. They did not judge as though they were judging a person. They judged the conduct, and the conduct was wrong, but not drastically wrong, and accordingly they allowed us each the opportunity to reach our own decision as to the path that needed to be taken. They used it as a teaching opportunity. It was instructive. It was a moment in time that I've never forgotten. It informs my decision-making and my philosophies to this day. The easiest thing for any judge to do is to sentence someone in jail. It requires no thought. It's far harder to achieve change in behavior with the power of an idea. It takes insight, it takes understanding of the human condition, it requires patience, it requires creativity, it requires, I submit, an extension of grace to allow the room for change. I learned this lesson first in my home. It was refined by Father Tobin, the Catholic instruction that I received at St. John High School myself. It was internalized by me, and I've never forgotten the life lesson that I learned. I try to extend grace every day of my professional life. All people have value. As a footnote, Two of my cohorts that day have gone on to have fabulously successful careers. They have value that was recognized on that day, and they've returned the school's investment into the society 1,000-fold. And who knows, one of them may actually be a true hero. Not my brother. And now two of them may be in the Hall of Fame. Thank you so much for this work.